First up, big thanks to Qubic for sponsoring this video, and it's the Qubic Games 17th anniversary sale, and fair play to them for letting us choose and dig out our best picks to essentially bring you the lowest prices on their games. They've also said they'll give us a few codes to give away to you, so yeah, make sure you leave comments that we can reply to. And although it doesn't make up part of this sale, it's worth mentioning that Doorkickers and Dungeon Top are also reduced, I think down to about $5 or €5. I'll pop a link on the screen right now that will take you to the website, and that'll be in the top pinned comment that will basically talk you through in detail all of these deals in case you want to go back and check them for yourself. Now, I think usually my sales videos or sales style videos end up costing you an arm and a leg, but I think your arms and legs will be safe with the prices we're about to go through. I'm going to split this list into two parts then. First, we're going to go for the games that are the expensive ones, and when I say expensive, I mean $1.70 or your regional equivalent. It's worth bearing in mind though that there's almost a precursor to getting some of these prices, and you need to own one of these 4 games. You've got Robonauts, Pocket Mini Golf, Puzzle Book, or Colouring Book. And Colouring Book is actually free. So make sure you download that little nugget. Once you've done that, well, let's get those discounts. What's on sale? Let's find out. Here are my picks from the $1.70 sale. And let's start with Bit Trip Runner, which Glen reviewed on the channel, link down in the description, and it scored a whopping, spoilers, 87%. It's a classic endless runner, but it's so easy to pick up and play, and it's so refined. You control Commander Video as he runs, jumps and kicks his way to victory. There's more than 50 different levels. You've got easy, medium and hard modes, and there are also 20 different little challenges that are separate from that main campaign. The soundtrack is on point. If you love your chip tune, you're going to love this. And at the ludicrous price you can pick it up, well, it's an essential on this 17th anniversary sale, and has a whopping download size of about 260 megs. Then we've got Decks, which I've mentioned a few times at much higher prices than $1.70, and it's a cyberpunk futuristic adventure title with an open world, loads of choices to make, different factions and gangs to interact with, and side missions to undertake. Now, it has a fighting system in there that's potentially a little bit clunky at times, but the overarching story and experience, if you can work your way through this one, is definitely worth your time. Now, it usually costs here in the UK, I believe, £17.99. So taking it down by almost 90%, it's an insane price drop, and I mean, you'd be mad not to for that price. It's very non-linear. There are multi-dialogue options as mentioned. You can choose to play as stealth, diplomatic, so using your speech skills or hacking everything, and it has a download size of 6.1 gigs.
Let's see what's in your pockets, girl.
Welcome back, miss.
You're gonna need to level the hell up. You're gonna need to get augmented, or you're going down.
If you're after a bit of 2-player co-op carnage, then you can certainly go a lot worse than Hyper Parasite. Set in a dystopian future, but sprinkled with 80s goodness, the Parasite itself, a hideous tentacled monster, clutching up all those juicy meat sacks. There are 5 different acts to work your way through, and it has an incredible soundtrack from Van Reeves and Joe Cataldo. Best thing for me though is that co-op. Being able to play with 2 of you in local co-op is an absolute delight. Usually 14 quid here in the UK, but again a massive reduction, and it has a download size of 2.1 gigs. After the amazing news that The Binding of Isaac has a new version coming in June, July time, oh yes, you heard that correctly, I've been revisiting some of my favourites in the same genre, and I think Blazing Beaks is an underrated example. You play as one of a few different birds, and just like Isaac, you're dropped in with no gear other than a sad little weapon that does hardly any damage. But the interesting twist here is that as you progress, the pickups that you gain actually damage you and they cause you negative effects, a little bit like the curses in Curse of the Dead Gods. But here, if you can keep them to the point at which you reach the shop between stages, you then sell these, which allow you to buy positive attributes or better weapons. It's a system that I didn't actually understand. The game doesn't do a very good job initially of explaining it, but once you get to grips with it, it's absolutely brilliant. This also has 2-player co-op or 4-player competitive modes, and at this ridiculous price, if you're looking for something to fill the gap or something to pick up and play, it's certainly a great choice. I've actually been playing this recently with my daughter, and man, she's amazing at it, which is quite upsetting because I kept getting destroyed. And it has a download size of 510 megs. Let's finish up the expensive, in air quotes, section then with one that's higher than the others at around about $5 or your regional equivalent, and that's Doorkickers. Now, you've probably heard of Doorkickers Action Squad on the Switch, which was an incredible game. I really enjoyed that, but it's quite a different style. This one takes a top-down approach to allow you a quick tactical analysis, and it has real-time combat, but you can pause the action. It's not turn-based, nothing like that. It's very quick and actually quite a slick experience. There are 5 different trooper classes. You can prepare your squad with different equipment and weapons that you've gained, and if you do manage to finish it, then there's a mission generator so that you don't run out of things to do. It's worth mentioning that the Switch version has touch screen, so that's quite useful, and that despite appearances, it's actually quite realistic in how it plays out. There are a lot of levels to work your way through, and certainly there's a decent amount of challenge. It gets really tricky as you progress. It's reviewed really well across the board, generally in about the 80%, and has a reasonable download size of about a gig. Alright, so that's the expensive ones out the way. I'm now going to go through 5 games, which are about 17 cents, depending on your region, obviously the 17th anniversary sale, and they're classic loading games, some of them. When I say loading game, it's a game that you can pick up and play while you're actually deciding what you want to play long term. The perfect example of a loading game then is Akane. Akane is an incredible pick up and play arcade title. You control a katana wielding heroine who can slice through everyone in a single hit, and she can gradually build up this ability that allows her to basically clear an entire screen. She can dash in any direction, which slices through the enemies, and she has a pistol that she can quickly use using the right analog stick. The music on this game is probably some of my favourite on Switch. It's just incredible, and you'll find yourself almost fighting in time with that music and shooting in time with the beat. Every 100 enemies there's a boss fight, and you can unlock new weapons and items as you get better. It's not a complex game, it's not overly deep, but it's incredibly fun and satisfying. I really hope they make a sequel to this one and don't try and over the top it. Just keep it as it is now, but maybe with a few different stages. It has a small download size of 429 megs. When I first saw One Strike, I thought it was going to be more like old school Bushido Blade, but as the title suggests, it's all about quick reactions and getting your one hit in before your opponent. When you get to grips with it, it's quite satisfying, but where it's really at and where the most fun I've had with it is with another friend. So if you've got someone you can play against, it's really tense, and trying to outthink each other and outfeint your opponent is very cool. Again, it's really another perfect loading game, aka a pick up and play for 5 or 10 minutes, but be warned, you will end up playing for far longer than that. There is a DLC for this one out already called One Strike Rise of the Dragons, which adds 3 new fighters to the game. Dragon, Dayu and Lotus, and that's about £1 on its own, which isn't too bad. If you're interested in this, it has a download size of 375 megs. I know puzzle games aren't really for everyone, but my go-to puzzler on Switch is Not a brain buster. It's super simple. You've got a cube in the middle of the screen, and then there's an instruction on the cube, so it will say something like not left. So as long as you don't go left when you rotate, you're fine. But then it will say not left, and you sat there scratching your head completely confused, but it means you have to go left. It gets more and more difficult, and there's also a multiplayer versus mode, which I believe is exclusive to the Nintendo Switch version, and that's really fun. There's normal, hard and extreme modes. You've got classic mode so that each level raises the difficulty with new instructions given. But there's also challenge mode, trying to reach the highest score. You might take one look at this and think, no, that's not going to be fun. But I can promise you it's not going to be fun. And when you've got 4 of your mates sat around trying not to get the answers wrong and gradually eliminating each other, you'll realise that it was 17p well spent. It's got a download size of 158 megs. Okay, what can we buy next for 17 cents then? Well, I would say Mana Spark. Similar in many ways to Blazing Beaks, but it feels a little bit more classic in its styling. Well, quite a bit more classic in its styling. You'll fight your way through dungeons, there are bosses to beat, and you'll have a hub area which you can gradually build up through survivors that you find, and you've got different weapons and traps that you can use. What I do like is that they've done a combination. So we have procedural generation sometimes, don't we? And then we have handcrafted, which I much prefer. This has a blend of the two to keep it interesting but still having the handcrafted aspects, and it works really well. At launch, I'm pretty sure this was single player only, but I thought I heard rumours that it was coming with a update that enabled 2-player co-op. Let me know down in the comments, have they actually done that? Because it would be much superior, or far superior I should say, if they've actually managed to implement that 2-player co-op mode. Still, I really like it, and it's a reasonably small download size of 469 megs. For 17 pence or cents or whatever your equivalent is, not too shabby at all. Last but not least then, on my main recommendations is one called Escape Dudeland. Now I'd fully basically played through this one ready for a review, but I can't remember what, something came up that stopped me reviewing it in terms of something else that needed to be covered on the channel, and I was really enjoying it. Now there's a couple of people I've heard have played this and not really enjoyed it, but it's so bonkers. I love the art style, it's ridiculous. It's an endless runner, so you're running from left to right, but actually I guess it's not an endless runner at all, it's just a runner split through different stages. The Doodlers are actually the weird creatures, well they're the weird peaceful creatures living in Dudeland, and you can choose different ones, and you'll be being pursued by various unusual things. Yeah, I quite liked this. I thought it was a lot of fun, really easy to pick up and play, very simplistic in its mechanics, and running, jumping and flying my way through it I enjoyed. It's got a nice small download size of 513 megs, and in all honesty, if you picked up all 5 of these games from this cheaper side, or 17 times 5 someone, that would be 85p or cents. That's crazy, isn't it? 85 cents. My word, not too shabby. So there you have it. I'll make sure to put a link to all of the titles that are on this deal down in the description, as the list is far longer than we could ever cover in one video. But just remember that you'll need one of those 4 games: Robonauts, Pocket Mini Golf, Puzzle Book, or indeed the completely free colouring book. All the links will be in the top pinned comment or down in the description. And once again, just a big thanks to Qubic Games, and congratulations for 17 years in the industry. That is quite the achievement, and I'd be interested to hear how the Nintendo Switch has given you guys a boost. Thanks to our patrons who support us each and every month. Remember, if you want to win one of these games, we're going to be getting a few copies to give away, so just pop your comments down in the comments section. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!